Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia pay-per-view numbers are in. They projected to do 250,000 on pay-per-view. So the numbers supposedly is 250 buys. When it comes to the pay-per-view, I told you guys before the Errol Spence fight, what makes or breaks the pay-per-view is essentially the date. If you pick the right date, you have a great chance of doing great numbers on pay-per-view. If you pick the wrong date, then you're going to run into multiple obstacles. Let me explain. I told you guys the Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia fight, it was a week right after Mike Tyson exhibition bout with Roy Jones. Now, Errol Spence was supposed to fight Danny Garcia a week before Mike Tyson comeback, which I think that was a better date. However, they pushed the fight back because they wanted attendance and they had an opportunity to pull it off, hosting it at AT&T Stadium. That's why the fight got pushed back till then. Nevertheless, I think that move hurt the pay-per-view numbers. I think 250 is decent. I was expecting 300 or more, especially when it comes to Errol Spence. His last two pay-per-views, they sold more than 300K. And now his third pay-per-view, you will think it will do more than the previous pay-per-views. However, it did less, even though this is his comeback. So I attribute that due to the fact that Errol Spence fought right after Mike Tyson, in which Mike Tyson sold supposedly 1.4 to 1.5 million on pay-per-view. It was $50. That's 1.4, 1.5 million people purchasing the fight for $50. So the $1 million question, how many of them people were willing to purchase the Errol Spence a week after the Mike Tyson fight, which it turned out to be 250. That's only two boxers that carried the sport of boxing, or pretty much they were bigger than the sport of boxing, were Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was even bigger than Mike, but nevertheless, Mike Tyson is as big as you're going to get. It's fair to say that he's more famous than Floyd Mayweather. So the fact that Mike Tyson at 53 made a comeback, it kind of stole the buzz from Errol. It stole the attention because everybody started talking about Mike Tyson. I think essentially the date hurt Errol Spence. That's why he only sold 250. Those are good numbers, knowing the fact that he was going up against so many different things like the UFC as well. But like I said before, it wasn't really the UFC. It was just the fact that Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia got overshadowed by Mike Tyson. They did almost 300. The report I saw said 250. Those weren't the final numbers. So 300K possibly was the total. Like I said before, those are good numbers. But knowing it was Errol Spence's comeback after an accident in which Errol Spence survived in a miracle way, I was really expecting that to do 500K. It could have possibly did 500K if Errol Spence fought on the right date. You guys got to remember that this was a big story coming into this fight. A year ago, it was like the saddest week when I heard about Errol Spence's accident. I was praying for the man. It was a serious situation. Only few fighters were able to come back from a situation like this. Pazienza was a fighter that also suffered a car accident. He was able to come back. You know, it was done before. That's why Errol Spence was motivated to prove himself, and he definitely did. Nevertheless, not too many fighters were able to make a comeback. It was possible, but knowing that Errol Spence ejected out of the vehicle and dived in head first, that was a big story coming into this fight. So this fight was projected to do 400 to 500K. But like I said before, the Mike Tyson fight a week before the Errol Spence fight really hurt Errol Spence because that overshadowed the Errol Spence fight. We saw it with numbers. People lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And Mike Tyson sold 1.4 million. Obviously, his pay-per-view was cheaper, $50. So how many of them people were willing to spend $80 right after the Mike Tyson fight? I did, but not everybody is willing to do the same. We are in a pandemic, so we have to be mindful of that.
You talked about how difficult it was to get yourself back in shape and all the pain that you endured. Was there ever a moment when you felt like, man, this might end my pro career as a boxer?
Definitely, especially when it happened. I was at home, you know, and just still getting a lot of aches and stuff like that. And and you know, I was kind of skeptical of whether I'm gonna come back or not, and you know, basically, it gave me a lot of confidence once I came from the hospital and stuff, and just over the time, you know, each day, I was, you know, just felt, you know, stronger and felt like I was, you know, I was healing, my body was healing, so, you know, I just thought to myself, you know, in due time, you know, I'll be back to normal. I just, you know, got to stay on it.
The moments where you wondered whether you'd come back, those must have been scary moments. I mean, because that's sort of who you are.
A little bit, like, you know, just, you know, you hear about it a lot when, you know, when just not even fighters, just athletes, you know, their career get cut short, especially, you know, when they're real good. And, you know, I never in a million years thought I'd be part of, you know, one of those stories, the tragic stories. So, you know, it was kind of like just nerve-wracking to me, and, you know, I was kind of distraught for a second because I thought, you know, I really, you know, wasn't going to come back for like a split moment, but, you know, just the doctors and getting out of checkups, and, you know, it gave me a lot of confidence that, you know, I'll be back to normal soon.
Well, now you're part of one of the great comeback stories, so it's a happy story as opposed to a sad story, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So your trainer Derek James said that he was near tears during the ring walk, thinking about everything that had happened and getting you back to this point. What were your emotions as you made your way to the ring?
My emotion was just, you know, I'm back, and you know, man, you know, just, you know, I'm here, and it was kind of like, I don't know, kind of like in like third person where, you know, I'm just, you know, looking at myself walking down the ring entrance and stuff like that. And when I thought about it when the fight was over, like, man, I should have came out to Jay-Z. Yeah, I'm back.
That's awesome.
Man, it was, you know, it was just great, you know, having that ring walk, and, you know, like, man, I'm finally back, and then it make it even more better because it was at home, you know, in front of my fans and family, so it made it an even more special moment.
Errol, let's talk about the fight. First, give us your overall impressions of Danny Garcia.
I feel like Danny's, you know, he's a strong, you know, technical fighter, and he's a real counter puncher. You know, it's like you pop your head up, you know, after throwing a punch, you know, you're gonna catch you, or, you know, you gotta stay down low. You know, you gotta be ready for shots to come, because he can counter off, you know, any shot you throw or any mistake you make. So you gotta be on pins and needles all the time with Danny Garcia.
Where do you rank him among all of your opponents?
I'll probably rank him probably 2.
Okay. Is Sean number 1 or?
No, I say Kilbrook.
Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
I bear witness there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the Bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.